Welcome to this news hour on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the 6 p.m. prime time newscast, less than 10 days left for the four sentenced to death in the Kumba massacre case to appeal the verdict of the Boya military court or be executed in public. Insecurity hinders back to school in parts of the far north region of the country. Hundreds of pupils in Muskota, Mayo-Chanaga division are still waiting for refugees to quit their classrooms so that they can resume academic activities. And out of the country, condemnation from the international community continue raining on the military junta who led the coup d'etat in Guinea that toppled the government of President Alpha Conde. Stay with us. In the next less than 10 days, they have the opportunity to appeal the verdict of the Boya military court or be executed in public. They are those who were found guilty and sentenced to death in the Kumba massacre case that was yesterday in a verdict handed down by the Boya military court. Derek Jato comes back to what happened on the 24th of October 2020 in Kumba, and he gives us updates concerning that case.
Memories. Many say Cameroon will live with it forever. The 24th October 2020 massacre here at Mother Francisca School in Kumba, chieftain of Meme Division, cannot be forgotten. Everyone can remember that 7 of the children who came to school that Saturday did not go back home, nor survive the attack, but died from the bullet wounds. And after 11 months of judicial proceedings on the matter, the 4 accused who were standing trial before the military tribunal in Boya were given death sentence by the said court Tuesday, September 7, 2021. They were charged for acts of terrorism, hostility against fatherland, secession, insurrection, murder, illegal possession of firearms, and ammunition.
Among the 12 persons, 4 of them who are probably those who were the master brain behind the Kumba massacre, maybe separatist fighters, have been given a death sentence by firing. So they have 10 days from today to appeal the decision, or else the decision will become final and they will have to execute the death sentence that has been pronounced against them. And the others also have been given imprisonment term, while others were sentenced to pay fine.
The president of the military tribunal made the verdict public Tuesday, September 7, 2021 in Boya, and asked the now sentenced have a period of 10 days to appeal the decision. Pundits say the Kumba massacre has again occupied front pages, raising disturbing questions as to where are we going with this war, which is reducing Cameroon's population and its reputation.
12 persons were standing trial at the Boya military court in connection to the Kumba massacre, and 4 of them sentenced to death in a verdict handed down by Lieutenant Colonel Chinda Jackson, who was the presiding judge, and we'll keep you updated on that case. Now another case of death, but this time around concerning a young girl who died in an accident with a music star popularly known as Tenor, and the conflict between the family of the young girl and Tenor is worsening as the matter is still in court. Details in this report by Malak Glory.
Fia Molium Erika's death certificate is contested by her family. According to the Molium, Erika did not die by accident, as the hospital administration declared in the certificate. It is in a press conference organized by the family in Douala today that Mr. Molium and the family lawyer addressed the media.
Le prévenu qui avait plaidé non coupable, c'est son droit. We wish to clarify to the public the reason behind Erica's death, but we can't for now because the matter is still ongoing. For the culprit to deny the accusation is totally his right, which he later accepted that he is guilty. Though till now, there is no document that proves this girl died involuntarily.
Est décédée involontairement suite à un accident sur la voie publique.
A Cameroonian-born music artist, Tenor, sustained injuries after an accident which occurred on July 15, 2021. Meanwhile, a university student, Erica, who was in the car at the time of the incident, died as they were coming back from the Stars concert. According to the father, Tenor's family has never called to sympathize with him.
Je n'ai jamais. Both the hospital and the police knew I was taking my daughter for burial. I have never seen nor received a call from any member of that family, neither me nor any close relative of mine.
Ni moi personnellement, ni un membre éloigné même de ma famille.
Tenor was accused of being directly responsible for Erica's death and detained immediately after he left the hospital. After a legal battle, Tenor pleaded guilty of unintended homicide Monday 6 September 2021 at the Bonanjo Court of First Instance, Douala. The matter was then adjourned to the 13th September 2021 for a final hearing and a judgment on the Tenor Erica's affair.
No back to school for hundreds of pupils in the Muskuta in the Mayo-Chanaga Division, far north region of the Republic of Cameroon. The institution is occupied by refugees, and this is just one of the examples of back to school being hindered by insecurity in that part of the country. Details with Equinoxe.
Since start of the 2021-2022 academic year, children in Muskuta, a locality in Mayo Muskuta subdivision in the Mayo-Chanaga division of the far north region, have not had the opportunity to resume after a long holiday. Reason being that close to 10,000 displaced persons have colonized their school, Government Primary School Muskuta, Group 1 and 2. They seek refuge here over security reasons.
They don't let anybody to know. Just soldiers just pack a load.
We were in security, but ever since the military abandoned their post, we became vulnerable to enemy attacks. So we had to escape as quick as possible, abandoning our properties and livestock back home.
We spend like 1 day like that, we just come stay here.
It is impossible for us to leave the school premises because if we have to, we won't have where to stay because our houses have been destroyed by Boko Haram fighters and our lives will be in danger. We feel secured here.
Nous n'avons pas de maison. Nous n'avons pas de lieu où on peut se réfugier dedans.
The school officials are also disturbed about the occupation of the classrooms by the refugees, rubbishing administrative order to leave for their children to resume school. Our wish is to see that authorities address this situation for children to go back to school. Within 33 days, 12 children died as a result of malaria in this colonized school. An adult also lost his life here due to the unhealthy and difficult living conditions.
Y compris les enfants de moins de 5 ans qui ont décédé suite au paludisme.
According to the displaced persons to the abandoned post in Muskuta, will send them out of the school compound.
Internally displaced persons and refugees at Government Primary School, Muskuta Group 1 and 2 in the far north region of the country, hindering back to school in that academic institution. Now to Mabeta in the southwest region of the country. Smanjikan Gabriel takes us through the underdevelopment challenges affecting that community. His report.
Potable water remains one of the major preoccupations of the people in Mabeta, Limbe 3 subdivision. It is from a stream that the people of Mabeta carry water to drink, and at times salted water from the sea gets into it. They have no choice.
The drinking water, we don't have drinking water. You can see yourself now, behind you. We don't have drinking water. Any stream that we see is our drinking water. Any stream, anywhere that water is coming out is our drinking water. When the sea is high, it comes right to where we are drinking our water. So that's why at times we have cholera here. It's not up to about a year that the cholera epidemic attacked people here. About 5 people died.
The only tap flowing here is far off from the population, and the nature of the zone where the tap is situated tells of danger in the nearest future. The Mabeta Integrated Health Unit is also begging for an upgrade. The hospital has 6 employed workers, but unfortunately lacks several equipment needed in a health facility. Sad enough is the fact that women still continue to put to bed in the traditional way and will seek medical attention only when it's bad.
When we refer patients to other sector, like to the district hospital Bota, it is very difficult for the patient to use the land only by sea, and sea at times is very rough. Patient here, they need a lot of sensitization because they love traditional medicine, so we are really facing such challenge.
At the time Equinoxe Television passed through the structure hosting kids of the primary school, the roof was totally taken off, rotting ceilings and broken doors. Our guide told us the pupils studied in this condition during the 2020-2021 academic year. Mabeta, however, is calm in terms of security.
In terms of security, we don't get problem. Even though some time ago, some thieves they kind of worry for you, they will call them say Amber when they be Amber, when they are thief for them. But I will thank God say the population joined the military them, work together. We sure say we stop all this issue. The way they put the kind of harassment every day, kidnap people them every day. So now the police decide say no, the nonsense must stop.
The only cry from the people living in Mabeta is for the elites of Fako division to help them find lasting solutions to their deteriorating roads, which remains a major challenge to development.
The African swine flu is now present in the littoral and sweeping across the region, and the animal disease was declared months ago in the west region and parts of the northwest region. Today, it's in the littoral region. For me, Armstrong Sanda reports.
Declared in the west region of Cameroon few months ago, the African swine fever is now present in the littoral and southwest regions of the country.
The pigs are still dying. In Tombe, I'm from Tombe, pigs are dying. They started dying since in April. They are still dying.
In the littoral region, authorities say the swine fever is present in the Mongo division. Back to the Kupe-Manenguba division of the southwest region, farmers say the swine fever's damaging effect is larger because of a limited market.
The next worry again is how to sell. At times, you raise a pig you wanted to sell after 6-7 months. You don't have a ready market here. That is another problem, because if you walk and you don't have a market, it remains where? Inside your pen, and you keep adding expenditure there.
Gathered under the state-sponsored program for the consolidation and sustainability of agro-pastoral counseling, ASEFA, farmers in the Kupe-Manenguba division say their maize, bananas and cocoa plantations are being threatened by climate change.
The main difficulty that they are facing are the problem of link to production. These technicians are going to follow them on the field to make sure their problems are solved. The other main problem that they are facing is the problem of African swine fever. As we all know, it is very rampant in our area. So we gave them knowledge and techniques to see how they can try to avoid this particular problem.
As a message to the government of Cameroon through ASEFA, farmers in the Kupe-Manenguba division say the high cost of input has joined with the African swine fever and climate change to render their sector less productive.
The international community continues condemning the military junta who led the coup d'etat in Guinea that toppled the government of President Alpha Conde. In the meantime, 80 persons who were arrested in connection to or during that coup d'etat have been set free. Immaculate Fogwe has more.
Coup leaders in Guinea have released about 80 political prisoners who have been detained under the rule of ousted President Alpha Conde. As they walked out of the prison, they were welcomed by a crowd of cheering supporters in the capital Conakry. Many of those released were arrested last year during a massive nationwide protest against Conde's plan to stand for a third term. The military junta equally announced the reopening of the country's air borders. The reopening concerns commercial and humanitarian flights. Speaking on state television, Doumbouya said Alpha Conde is safe and in custody. He equally vowed to restore democracy in the West African nation. According to the coup leader, Alpha Conde personalized politics and he is not doing enough to improve the country's economic and social conditions. Doumbouya on Monday ousted government ministers and he equally banned them from leaving the country. He later replaced regional governors with military commanders. 83-year-old Alpha Conde was re-elected for a third term in October 2020 in polls marred by violence. He first came to power in 2010 in a vote seen as the first democratic election since the former French colony gained independence. The military junta has been widely condemned for their action.
About 80 political prisoners arrested under the reign of President Alpha Conde set free by the military who are now ruling in Guinea-Conakry. That's it for the first part. Coming up next, Talking Point. Today we are receiving a human rights lawyer, Barrister Eule Lyonga. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. It's a
Right.
pleasure to be here.
What's your reading of the death sentence handed down by the Boya military court for 4 persons found guilty among the 12 who were found guilty in the Kumba massacre case?
Yes, I'd like to say that the death sentence is still part of our law. If you look at section 22 and 23 of the Penal Code of Cameroon, it talks about the death sentence. If you look at the 2014 law on terrorism, it talks of the death sentence. So it is still part of our law, the issue of the death sentence. And if you look at why these persons were tried, they were tried for secession, they were tried for insurrection, they were tried for murder, and they were tried for holding ammunition. And if you look at the punishment for murder, the punishment for murder is death sentence. And if you look at section 23, it says that the issue of sentence of death sentence will be by shooting or hanging. So it is within the ambit of the law.
And in this case, it's going to be by shooting.
It's going to be by shooting.
And that is if the 4 do not appeal or fail to appeal the verdict of the Boya military court within the next 9 days.
Yes, 10 days. I spoke with my learned friends who are handling the case. That's Barrister Arthur Walters and Barrister Equinoxe. All of them are bent on the fact that they are going to take the matter to the Court of Appeal, and that they are going to test the Court of Appeal, where you have very seasoned judges like the Chief Justice, Justice Ngute Paul. They raise issues of procedural irregularities, that this accused person were detained in Kumba for over a month, and that the Criminal Procedure Code is saying that they were supposed to be detained for 48 hours, renewable ones, but they were kept in Kumba for over a month, and that violates. There were a lot of procedural irregularities, and my learned friend drew the attention of the fact that most of the evidence was circumstantial evidence, and we know as a principle of law that when circumstantial evidence are not cogent, they are not straight, they are not straight, they are not irrevocable, pointing to one direction, that is an accused person that have committed that offense. It goes to the benefit of the accused person. That is why you see in the penal code the issue of that the prosecution are bound to prove their case beyond doubt. So these are some of the things that we are taking, that my learned friends will be taking to the Court of Appeal that is headed by the Chief Justice Nkutepo.
Now, looking at the case at hand and how serious that case is, notably concerning students who were shot dead, 7 of them, Mother Franciscan International College in Kumba, and the context of the crisis and everything surrounding that case, is there any possibility of an appeal prospering in the appeal court?
Of course. The court of, first of all, this case was carried out in a military court. And in a military court, most of the time, if you look at most of the cases of the military court, when they go to the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal most of the time throw them out because of procedural irregularities. But at this particular time, if you look at the lawyer raised the issue of Section 336, that is talking about the fact that prosecution witnesses were not present in court. And in that case, it did not give an opportunity for the defense, for the accused person, to cross-examine them. And they did not show possible facts why those prosecution witnesses were not there. For instance, the police officers who carried out the investigation, the military people who carried out the investigation, were supposed to come to court to give evidence. And most of the evidence that my learned friend said it was given, it was hearsay. And when it comes to hearsay, most of the time, even though it's accepted, but it must be corroborated. And so these are some of the issues that we are looking, that the Court of Appeal is going to look at. The law is, they are looking at how, they are looking at the procedure. If you fail to follow procedure, too bad for you. And that is why you see the law has given a huge burden on the prosecution. They have to prove their case beyond doubt. If they fail to do it, too bad for them. And that is what the Court of Appeal is going to be looking at, if my learned friends and these persons take the matter to the Court of Appeal.
What does the law say about evidence coming from people who heard from other people, not people who witness an incident? Because earlier you said that most of the evidence are coming from people who did not witness the incident, but who heard from other people.
Yes. And these are hearsay. But Section 308 of our law, if you look at the CPC, they say proof is by all means. And these are some of the problems. But when it comes to evidence should come from the person who saw it. You saw, because most of these the prosecution witnesses from if you followed up the trial, most of them did not, they said they heard that these people, and these are some of the things that they are going to test at the level of the Court of Appeal. But there is something that I would like to say about the issue of the death penalty.
Yes, I was looking at this issue from the angle of human right. I guess that's what you want to talk about. Yes. Human rights. Yes. The right to life is a fundamental human right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila Jonathan. The right to life is so sacrosanct. And that is why you see Cameroon is the signatory of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and all other international human rights conventions, which all of these conventions are on the point that the right to life is so sacrosanct. Most of our neighboring countries, most countries have abolished the death penalty. Cameroon is still yet to abolish the death penalty. But if you look at the manner in which the country is taking on the death penalty, we are like on the fence. We are about to abolish. If you look at Section 22 of the penal code. It says that no person shall be executed after you have been sentenced. Like these people, they cannot be executed without a commutation signed by the president. A commutation. And what is the commutation? Commutation means that the president will sign a document that he is not opposed. If the president doesn't sign that he is not opposed to the death penalty, those people cannot be executed. So for the past years, most people who have been sentenced to death, the president of the republic has not commute this thing, has not commute the sentence, and most of the time he has just been silent. And the law says if the president is silent, these persons cannot be executed. And so some of us human rights lawyers, some of us human rights activists, we are calling on our legislators to wipe away these death penalties from our law. But to be honest with you, for the past 10 to 20 years, the president and the Republic of Cameroon has not executed any Cameroonian who has been sentenced to death. So most of them have just been in prison. But the president can come out tomorrow morning and say, not commute. Yes, not commute. I am not commuting this death sentence. If he says I am not commuting, it means that I am not opposed to this death sentence, and that is when he can go ahead to execute. So we are, as human rights lawyers, human rights activists, we are calling on our legislators to let us abolish this thing. Let
the law should be abolished.